Hey Gooners, and straight into it because this is one of the most important weeks in Arsenal season. And the picture right now deserves a clear, calm, analytical look rather than the panic that has taken over most of the conversation. 6 points. That is the gap between Arsenal and Manchester City as of this Monday morning. 48 hours ago, it was 9. Bournemouth came to the Emirates on Saturday and took 3 points. City then went to Stamford Bridge on Sunday and won convincingly. A lead that had looked close to unassailable got cut by a third in a single weekend. And now, the schedule that follows is about as demanding as it gets. Wednesday is the Champions League quarterfinal second leg against Sporting CP at the Emirates. Sunday is the Etihad, the direct title confrontation. And heading into both of those games, Odegaard is not fit, Saka has not played since the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, Calafiori missed the weekend, and Timber is being assessed day by day. That is the reality of where Arsenal are right now. But before the panic sets in, and a lot of it already has across social media and punditry, the data needs to be looked at seriously. Because the data and the noise are telling completely different stories right now. The Opta supercomputer ran 10,000 simulations of the remaining season as of April 13th. Arsenal win the title in 87% of those simulations. Manchester City win it in 13%. That is not a tight race according to the numbers. That is still a commanding advantage. And when you look at the full season probability chart, Arsenal's line has never dropped below roughly 75%, even at their lowest moments. City's line has never risen above around 25% at its peak. What happened this weekend shifted Arsenal from near certainty down to 87%. That is a shift worth acknowledging. It is not a collapse worth panicking about. Now let's look at the Bournemouth performance itself properly, because the scoreline and the underlying data are pointing in very different directions. Arsenal lost 2-1. The goals came from Junior Cruyff in the 17th minute and Alex Scott in the 74th. Gyökeres equalized in the 35th. On the scoreline alone, Bournemouth looked like the better side. But Arsenal generated 2.32 expected goals in that match. Bournemouth generated 1.19. Arsenal won the XG battle by a significant margin and still lost. That is a conversion failure on a specific afternoon, not evidence of a structural collapse. Arsenal created enough quality to win the game. Bournemouth scored twice from a combined chance quality of just over one expected goal. That kind of result, where the XG winner loses the actual match, happens in roughly 25 to 30% of Premier League games. It is genuinely unfortunate. It is not proof that something is fundamentally broken. The defensive numbers in 2026 add further context. Across 13 Premier League games in the calendar year, Arsenal have conceded 11 goals from 107 shots faced. Their expected goals conceded sits at 9.8 across that period, meaning they are consistently outperforming their defensive XG. Their XG conceded per shot is just 0.09, which is the best in the Premier League. No other side comes close to that figure. Even in the Bournemouth defeat, the 1.19 XG Bournemouth generated was the sixth highest Arsenal had allowed in a single game all season. On one of their most difficult defensive afternoons of 2026, the opposition still only generated just over a goal's worth of quality. That defense is not broken. It is performing at an elite level by every available metric. The Opta Power Rankings saw Arsenal drop from first to second after 194 consecutive days at the top, with Bayern Munich now ranked above them and City third. That has generated significant reaction, but the context is important. These rankings measure rolling form across a defined period. A single defeat in which your XG output was 2.32 can move your position without reflecting any genuine drop in underlying quality. The ranking has shifted. The quality of the squad has not. Now to the Champions League, because this is where Arsenal's season looks genuinely impressive when you zoom out. 11 games played in Europe this season, 10 wins and 1 draw, not a single defeat. The results include a 4-0 demolition of Atletico Madrid, a 3-1 win over Bayern Munich at the Emirates, and a 1-0 away win at Sporting CP in the first leg last week. Arsenal go into Wednesday's second leg with a 1-0 aggregate lead, an unbeaten European record, and Sporting missing a significant number of key players. Fotis Ioannidis is out injured. Luis Guilherme is out. Nuno Santos is out. Luis Javier Suarez is suspended. Even Fresneda, the Spanish right-back who Arsenal themselves attempted to sign in the past, came off at halftime in Sporting's weekend league game with a physical issue and is doubtful for Wednesday. João Palhinha did not even make the squad for that game, with a muscle problem of his own. These are meaningful absences across both defensive and attacking areas for Ruben Amorim's side. The one factor that complicates things for Arsenal is the return of Morten Hjulmand. Sporting's captain was suspended for the first leg in Lisbon, and his absence was a significant contributing factor to how that game played out. He is back available for Wednesday, and his presence gives Sporting considerably more control and authority in midfield. A 1-0 aggregate lead is not a comfortable position. Sporting need a single goal to level the tie and force extra time. Arsenal cannot approach this with anything other than full focus and intensity. From a financial perspective, the stakes on Wednesday extend beyond the trophy itself. Arsenal have already earned around £93 million from this Champions League campaign. Reaching the semi-finals pushes that figure beyond £100 million. That kind of revenue has direct implications for summer recruitment and the club's financial flexibility going forward. Arsenal's own injury situation is the most legitimate cause for concern right now, and Tuesday's press conference with Arteta, scheduled for 1:30 p.m., is genuinely important for understanding what is actually available. Odegaard picked up a knock during the first leg in Lisbon. Saka has not featured since the Carabao Cup final. Calafiori missed the Bournemouth game entirely. Timber has been absent since being forced off before halftime against Everton on March 14th, with a groin injury and an ankle issue in the same game. He missed the cup final, did not travel with Holland during the international break, and was seen moving freely watching the Bournemouth game from the stands. When asked directly about his availability for the City fixture, he said it is recovering and that he cannot say yet. That is not a ruling out, but it is not a green light either. Marino remains out after foot surgery with no confirmed return date. The knock-on effect of Timber's absence has fallen heavily on Ben White, who has been covering at right back while also playing both England friendlies during the international break, scoring in one and conceding a penalty in another. That is a significant physical load for a player operating as a deputy in a position that was not his first choice this season. His performance against Bournemouth reflected that burden, getting dribbled past more times than in any other game this season, with one of those moments directly contributing to the winning goal. His SofaScore rating was 6.4. Those numbers are concerning at this stage of a title race, but they are also more understandable when you factor in the workload he has been carrying. Declan Rice stepped forward publicly in the middle of all this pressure, and the message was measured and direct. He said Arsenal are strong and are not letting any negativity in. He acknowledged things have not gone right recently, but said the team has not lost focus and knows exactly what the goal is. He said Arsenal have been in difficult spots before, and that criticism will always come, but this time they will not let it affect them. From a player of his standing, choosing to address the situation head-on rather than deflecting, that carries weight both inside and outside the dressing room. On the punditry reaction, Gary Lineker was the most alarmed of the prominent voices. He said Arsenal had nothing against Bournemouth, no creativity, no belief, and that it was the first time he genuinely felt they might not win the title. He acknowledged he had been backing Arsenal for months, but said they are stuttering badly at the worst possible time. He also criticized Arteta directly, suggesting the manager may be overcomplicating things during the run-in, and that the pressure is visibly showing in how the team is set up and performing. Michael Owen offered a more balanced assessment, pointing out that City's remaining fixtures are actually more difficult on average, with away trips to Bournemouth and Everton among them, and that while momentum clearly favors City, he still thinks Arsenal might just hold on. Wayne Rooney made a fair observation about the value of title-winning experience within a squad, and how the absence of that can compound under pressure. Bakary Sagna, who played for both clubs, said he goes into the final weeks at 55% Arsenal and 45% City. The fixture data is worth looking at in detail because it supports Arsenal's position more than the current narrative suggests. Using Opta's team ratings to assess remaining schedule difficulty, Arsenal's remaining 7 Premier League opponents carry an average rating of 90.4. City's remaining opponents carry an average rating of 92.0. Arsenal have the fourth easiest run-in in the division. If they avoid defeat at the Etihad, their remaining games against Newcastle, Fulham, West Ham, Burnley, and Crystal Palace are all very winnable on paper. City still need things to go significantly wrong for Arsenal across multiple games to overturn the current gap. The big game record also deserves more attention than it is currently getting. Since the 2022-23 season, in the mini-league of results between the current top 6 Premier League clubs, Arsenal are top, with 67 points from 18 wins, 13 draws, and 8 losses. City are second with 61 points. Arsenal have dropped fewer points against their direct rivals than any other side over that 3-year period. Their unbeaten run against City in the Premier League specifically now stands at 5 games, including 2 wins and 3 draws, after losing 12 consecutive meetings before that run began. The data consistently shows that Arsenal tend to drop points against sides they are expected to beat, rather than in the high-pressure fixtures against top opposition. The Bournemouth result fits that pattern exactly. It is a frustrating and costly slip. It is not evidence of a team that crumbles when the stakes are highest. On Zubimendi, his recent dip has been noted and is real, but the most credible explanation is fatigue from the volume of minutes in a first season in English football. His contribution in the opening months of the campaign was elite, his presence allowing Rice to operate more freely in advanced areas, and Thomas Partey barely getting a mention despite being a regular the season before. A player who performed at that level for that long does not lose his quality in a few weeks. He is carrying the weight of a long season, and the underlying ability is still there. The Nwaneri situation is worth flagging briefly. AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and Juventus are among clubs reported to be monitoring the teenager. His path to regular Arsenal minutes is complicated by Saka and Madueke occupying his natural position. He is currently on loan at Marseille with 9 appearances this season. Nothing is confirmed and no transfer has been agreed, but the caliber of clubs being linked reflects how seriously the wider football world is taking his potential. Pulling everything together, Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League with a superior goal difference and a game in hand. Their XG numbers across 2026 are the best in the division defensively. Their Champions League record this season is outstanding. Their big game record over 3 seasons is the best among the top 6. Their title probability sits at 87% in 10,000 simulations. The injury situation is real, and the next 48 hours of updates from Arteta matter significantly for understanding what is available across Wednesday and Sunday. But the data, the fixtures, and the historical pattern under this manager all continue to point in Arsenal's direction. Wednesday against Sporting CP is the immediate priority. Advance in Europe, get key players returning to fitness, and arrive at the Etihad on Sunday with momentum rather than anxiety. That path is still clearly available. The question now is whether this squad has the clarity and the courage to take it.